Okay, now what I wanted to do is to do another of these uh, articles that are translated into English from Arabic, because some of the people who are following have actually wanted more exercises from Arabic into English. So I went to the internet and I went to one of the newspapers, and I've seen this particular article, which is what you do. And this article, what I need to do is, I'm not going to discuss it all because it's quite a long piece. I'm going to highlight it and then go to Word and put it in Word. And here's the title of the article in Arabic. You can actually yourselves read the Arabic and see what's in the article, but you can see that I'll cut it and paste it. Okay, there are quite a few things which I highlighted which I would like to discuss. Now, of course, when you're translating into English, you need to know some of the words, these words that I've highlighted in the actual piece, article that's been done by this journalist. Now, one of the things is the title. The title you translate last, because the title is the most complicated and difficult to translate. And you need to understand what's the content of the whole text before you translate it. So we'll look at it. We see the word يحل, which will be problematic. Maybe we can say marking, and we start now writing notes. Okay, perhaps it's called the International Day for Human Rights, but I will come back to that in particular because that is an official name used by the UN. Therefore, I cannot improvise a title for that day. I have to get it from the UN website to know in Arabic and in English what they call it. Now, it happens that this article is talking about some of the articles of that particular day. There's Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, and so on, and preamble, الديباجة. And this journalist has actually quoted these articles, but have changed them slightly. So we need to go back to the articles themselves that are in the UN. Like, for example, يولد جميع الناس باستثناء الفلسطينيين أحرارا ومتساوين في الكرامة والحقوق وهم قد وهبوا العقل والوجدان وعليهم أن يعاملوا بعضهم البعض بروح الإخاء. Of course, this is a quotation, so therefore I don't need to think of how to translate because it's already been done, officially translated, even though I have some reservations about the translation itself, but then I have to leave it as is because it's already in the UN website. The same with article number 2, المادة الثانية, and also there's a quotation about لكل إنسان حق التمتع بجميع حقوق والحريات المذكورة، تمييز بسبب العنصر, and so on, right to the end of that quotation, على سيادته. Of course, there's a comment by the journalist, which is هذا الانطباع لبل هذه الحقيقة المؤلمة ترسخت في وعي الرأي العام العربي. And this is a comment by the writer. So I need to know that these are references. What are these references? And I have to go to the original text when I am translating something that is quoted from another text, from another website, or from another official text, and how it's translated. But then I have few things that I need to look at. For example, we start by highlighting, when I'm translating into English, highlighting the difficult words, which I think will be يحل, which can be called marking, the 10th of December of this year, marks the day, the International Day of for human rights. But then what is that in English? So here I start to put another column for the English, which is the International Human Rights Day. That's what it's called. I cannot translate it International Day for Human Rights because that is the official translation of that particular day. So I can't change it. Also, what is interesting is looking at the Arabic again to see what other things that I look at. It's المادة الأولى, which is Article 1, because this is an official legal document. So المادة الأولى, we can't say the first material or the first subject. We cannot say that because that's what we're talking about, something which is legal. In the legal system, you use Article 1, Article 2, under that text in particular, and that's what it's called. Then وُهِبُوا الْعَقْلَ وَالْوُجْدَانِ. Of course, وُهِبُوا is endowed, because endow is a good word for endowment, al-wahb. وُهِبُوا الْعَقْلِ. العقل, of course, it's not the mind here. They are not talking about the mind, but reasoning. They were given reasoning. And wujdan, conscience. Here. Then karama and huquq, also dignity and rights. To deal with each other, بروح الإخاء. الإخاء, of course, brotherhood, but then, of course, it can be called fraternal spirit, in a fraternal spirit, because fraternal from the word fraternal, which is to do with brothers, but it is a Latin and Greek origin. And then we have المادة الثانية, article number 2, followed number 1, which states تنص. تنص is states. And then we have the word الإعلان. And here, of course, we don't say announcement, because announcement is not used in a legal kind of documents. Usually it's called declaration, and that's the official word for it. So we cannot use announcement or advertising or advertisement, because these are different for different areas, different texts. Move on to the next one, of course, the word al-jins, which can be distinguished or discriminated against, whether it's race, العنصر, العنصرية يعني, color, and of course you don't say sex, you say gender here, and language, and religion, and also opinion, which is political and non-political, or apolitical. You have political and apolitical. Apolitical means it's not political, or devoid, or void of politics. Apolitical. And so on. Then we move on to words like مستقلا أو موضوعا تحت الوصاية. تحت الوصاية is mandate, under a mandate, or mandate is the word used between countries. You can't say الوصاية something else like will and so on. حكم ذاتي also is autonomy. It's well-known expression from auto means same, or the person's self. The word auto means self. And nomi means control or rule. Autonomy, which is a noun. Okay, of course the word sovereignty, we know the word sovereignty. And then this impression, and then we have رأي العام العربي, Arab public opinion. And then بوتيرة متسارعة, we can say accelerating pace, with an accelerating pace. في أوساط الرأي العام الغربي, Western public opinion milieu, for example, أوساط. حرب الإبادة also is another word, well known. This is for side. The word side means killing. So genocide will be killing people. And suicide means killing self, somebody killing themselves, الانتحار. So that is genocide. There's homicide, which is another word, which means killing humans or a person. That's homicide, and that's why we have homicide people investigating crime, people being killed. And then we have the word تواطؤ الحكومات الغربية. And here's the word تواطؤ is, there is conspiring, but conspiring may not be the good one here. We could say colluding Western governments or Western states, Western countries. Again, the word الإعلان again العالمي لحقوق الإنسان. So we have to say international declaration for human rights, but we will come back to that as well because it's got an official translation for it. التمسك بكلام, also adhering to, صادر من جهة, issued by one party that contradicts its actions or its deeds. So words and deeds you have. This is the issue. And then you have, he's quoting, this is Ghassan Salibi or the journalist. He's quoting what Jesus said to Pharisees. He says to them, there's a quotation. This quotation we cannot translate. We have to go back to its original official translation. Of course, the word متأصلة also we need to prepare what that is. Deeply, we can say deeply rooted in everyone or every human being. غير قابلة للتصرف is not adaptable. It has to be including everyone. So it is universal, عالمية, not international. Here the word is universal, is more appropriate for this kind of context. Okay? And then we move on to الإعلان العالمي لحقوق الإنسان والمواطن سنة 1789. And this is also a title, an official declaration, which is already translated before, so we don't need to do that. What is translated to, I will come back to that in a second. Okay, اكتشاف هنود أمريكا. Of course, the word اكتشاف here, we don't say discovery, because it's not a discovery, it's an exploration. Exploration means people already exist, but not many people know about them. That's why it's called exploration and not discovery. Hunud America is translated as the Red Indians, not American Indians or US Indians. You can't say that. These are the indigenous people of America, of the continent. So therefore the Red Indians will be the best one for this. And of course, transporting blacks as slaves from Africa to the West, we know that. So slavery is a good word to prepare. Treatment of these people is also a good word to prepare before you start translating. الاحتلال, occupation as well. And of course treatment, المعاملة, and then of course if it is المعاملة السيئة, then maltreatment, مو bad treatment, not bad treatment. So we say maltreatment. تمييز العنصري, of course, we can call it two ways. We can say either racial discrimination or apartheid if we are trying to match it with South Africa. But let's not just go back to the words that are in English, which I've just actually been sort of helping with some of them. As you can see here, let me just be more. So for example, when you are doing the research, before you do the translation, here are some things that I found which you need to do. For example, what's the title of the article? It says حقوق الإنسان الغربي ووجود الإنسان العربي. Of course, we can't say the rights of the Western person or human. or man, and the existence of the Arab man. That's not correct. We have to say something like Western human rights and Arab human existence. That is a kind of balancing between the two if you look at it from the English and the Arabic and see حقوق الإنسان الغربي ووجود الإنسان العربي. So, Western human rights and Arab human existence. Then the other word, which is اليوم العالمي لحقوق الإنسان, you have to research it and find that it is International Human Rights Day. So we can't say International Day for Human Rights, because that's what the UN have actually translated officially. So we can't move it. يحل marking. Then المادة الأولى in the UN, which is يولد جميع. Here he has actually added باستثناء الفلسطينيين, with the exception of Palestinians. That's what he says. So he's added that to the quotation here. And if I look at what the article in Arabic or in English says, you can see he says all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. All human beings, except Palestinians, are born free and equal in dignity and rights. وهم قد وهبوا العقل والوجدان. They were endowed with reason and conscience. As I said, conscience is a good word. Reason is العقل. Of course, العقل is mind, but they are here reasoning. When you are reasoning, you're using your mind. And conscience. وعليهم أن يعاملوا بعضهم بالبعض بروح الإخاء. Should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. You see, he uses brotherhood. Brotherhood is not really the best word. I would say fraternal, in a fraternal spirit, because here it's an official word. But then this is the translation that is in the UN. So other translators have translated it this way. But when we move on to article number 2, وكأن المادة الثانية لحقت بالأولى. It is as though the second article, or article 2, has followed the first, when it states that, again, if we look at the article in English and in Arabic, in English it says everyone is entitled to all rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration. And declaration, you see, it's not announcement, it's not advertising. Without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex. You see, they did not say gender. They said yes, sex, which is another way of saying it, but I would say gender instead. There are other elements here. Of course, I will follow what they said and I can comment on them as well. See, self-governing and independent, okay, or self-governing, non-self-governing. He did not use autonomy, which is a good word to use, but then the translator in the UN did not do that, which is very unusual, given that it's been checked, I'm sure, by a good reviewer, or somebody has reviewed it and revised it. Non-governing, or under any limitation of. I think here it's a matter of choice of words, let's say. So here, هذا الانطباع, this impression, not only that, but it is a very painful reality, which has been deeply rooted in the conscious, in the conscious of the Arab public opinion. وبدأت تنمو, and this fact, or this reality, has started to grow in an accelerating pace بوتيرة متسارعة in the Western world, with regards to the opinion, public opinion in the West, let's say, or Western public opinion. And that was as a result of, or due to a result of, the genocide that's been launched by Israel on Palestinians in Gaza. And you can see when, with this kind of silence and collusion by Western governments. See, now it's easier to translate all this into another language, into English. Now, the other thing is the quotation here, اسمعوا أقوالهم ولا تفعلوا أفعالهم. Of course, I cannot just listen and just say, listen to their talks or their sayings and do not do what they do. That's not how. I would say they listen to their what they say or to their talk, and they don't do their deeds. But of course I can't translate it that way, because this is a quotation. It's a religious quotation, and in the religious quotation, if you go and search for it, it says practice and observe everything they tell you, but do not do as they do. This is another quotation which you need to research, so you cannot come up with your own translation of it. There is also something that you cannot come up with, is الإعلان العالمي لحقوق الإنسان والمواطن. And here, of course, I have researched it and found out that it is the declaration of the rights of of man, and of the citizen. This is something that is official, so you cannot change. These titles you cannot change. I hope that you've learned something from this particular article by Ghassan في جريدة النهار, in a Lebanese newspaper called النهار, and it was published on the 9th of December at 10 o'clock in the morning, and that is what I have come across from this particular newspaper. I hope that you've learned from this particular exercise in translating from Arabic into English. Have a nice day.